G'day, legends. We're halfway through the year, and what a weird MMA year it's been. It feels like we've been so down in the dumps for so long, but then there's also been some really great and hype moments as well. This year seems to be ticking along as a little bit of a mix between one of the worst years we've ever had, and everything seems to be going just fine. It's a very, very odd year. But I figured since it was the halfway mark, why not do a tier list and rank all the pay-per-views that we've had so far this year. See how well they stack up against each other. Have we had a truly S-tier pay-per-view? Have we had an F-tier one? Let's go through the rankings. Let's talk about them. Let's remember it a little bit. And let's see how well the year has been tracking. In, of course, tier list form. That is the wrong screen. In tier list form. There we go. We got there eventually. It's been a long day. Right. Let's do this. Let's rank the UFC pay-per-views for the year. Starting all the way at UFC 311. I'm just going to put it here in C tier just to begin with. That's not its final location. You know, I'm just thinking out loud here. We're going to put it here in C tier. Right. What do we have? We had obviously Islam Makhachev versus Renato Moicano. Merab Dvalishvili versus Umar Nurmagomedov. Yuri Prochazka, Jamal Hill, Jailton Almeida was the pay-per-view. Should we be and Reina Derrida. Should we be counting how the prelims went on the pay-per-views? I don't think so. Maybe we'll do, let's just count the main cards. How did the main cards go for pay-per-view form? So we had Reina Derrida, right, getting a submission over Kevin Holland. Kevin Holland on a pay-per-view to kick off a pay-per-view in big 2025. That is concerning, right? Jailton Almeida came in and absolutely TKO'd, smashed Sergey Spivak from the back. Heavyweight blob. Well, I don't remember that fight being too crazy. That fight doesn't spark any memories within me. But we had the sickest war between Yuri Prochazka and Jamal Hill. That was awesome. Merab Dvalishvili put on a hell of a performance in what might be one of the highest quality fights of the year. We've had some great fights this year, but Merab versus Umar might have been one of the highest quality MMA fights, like skill for skill level MMA fights. I know we've had some like real throw them down wars this year as well, but this one, just the skill set alone is crazy. To see the grappling transitions, to see Umar's boxing, to see Merab be able to get out of the way, Umar's kicks, Merab be able to deal with it, adjust his game plan. Really high level fight. Might be the most high level fight of the year. But then the main event got kind of, I don't know, squished, ruined, bit shat on, because we didn't quite have that landing that we needed with Islam Makhachev and Moicano taking up the main event spot in the last few moments of the fight. And if Moicano had fought Beneil Dariush, we wouldn't have had Reina Derrida versus Kevin Holland on a pay-per-view in big 2025. So it's very hard to give this one what was a good card. You can't give this one an S tier. You just can't give this an S tier. You've got Kevin Holland, you got two fat heavyweights, you got the main event falling through and sort of ending the way everyone expected it to end. Like, I was hyped to see Moicano do the unthinkable, so I G'd myself up for this pay-per-view once the late change had happened, but I mean, I was just gaslighting myself into thinking that Moicano was going to win. And then when Moicano didn't win, it was like, oh, this went exactly the way as expected. So the pay-per-view is sort of, I'm going to put it, high B tier, low A tier. Can you do low A tier on this? No. High B tier, low A tier. I'll go B tier for now and see if I want to change it. But because the co-main event was so good, and we did have the war. We did have the war with Yuri and Jamal. And then we did see Reina Derrida, and now look where his career is going in the UFC. Alright, we'll go A tier for now. But this one I struggle with because it could have just been so much better. Let's move on. Let's move on to the next one, right? Dricus du Plessis versus Sean Strickland. Right, main card. What did we have? Jake Matthews on the main. Right, this one was in Australia, wasn't it? And this is one of those ones where it was. I should move it onto the screen. That's what we should do. Right, let me move it onto the screen into its holding position at C tier. I remember this card. This is one of those cards, right, where it's in Australia, so you know on paper it's going to suck. But Aussie fighters, they don't really back away, and they aren't really known for grappling. So Aussie fighters and Anzac fighters, yes, I know I'm biased because I'm Australian, but you have to admit, we do bring fun fights. Like, Aussie fighters, we're not wrestlers. We're mainly boxers and kickboxers that throw in a bit of scrambling to get out of trouble. I say we, I'm not a fighter. I mean fighters from my region. That's how they sort of fight, which makes for really fun, scrappy fights. So Aussie fighters do bring good, fun fights. But the main card just had no body to it. Like, Taliesin Teixeira versus Justin Tuffer. That was Taliesin Teixeira's first fight off the Contender Series. Now he's in a main event. There's no body to that. That's on the main card, by the way. You did Jimmy Crute and Rodolfo Bellato for a fucking draw again. Like, Jimmy Crute on a pay-per-view is just... you should never, ever, ever utter that sentence, Jimmy Crute pay-per-view. Jake Matthews, Francisco Peraldo. Another sloppy, like, slow decision. You know what I mean? Then we had Weili Zhang. Oh, my God. Weili Zhang's in the UFC. I forget about Weili Zhang. A decision to Tatiana Suarez. And then Dricus du Plessis puts on a phenomenal performance in front of Sean Strickland. Like, a phenomenal performance. Now, after a later date, Sean Strickland wants to come out and say, oh, you know, my shoulder was injured. That's why it was so bad. Pay me more. But that was an amazing performance that Dricus du Plessis did. It was a great beatdown to watch. But does the beatdown of Dricus du Plessis over Sean Strickland carry the slop that is Weili Zhang, Tatiana Suarez, Taliesin Teixeira, Justin Tuffer, Jimmy Crute, Rodolfo Bellato? No. I've got to sort of give this a D tier. This is a D tier pay-per-view, and it sucks, you know, because it was fun, but it just doesn't. It was a fun night out, but it doesn't leave me any memories to really go back to and want to be like, man, I can't wait to watch that pay-per-view again. It was fun. I had a fun day watching it. I remember after watching it, I was in a good mood. I was like, this was a great pay-per-view. It was good fun. But now, 6 months down the line, when you really like think about it, it was a good night out, but she's not leaving any lasting memories. You know what I mean? Next one up, 313. We're just holding it in C tier. We're just holding it in C tier while we talk about it. Right, main event. Magomed Ankalaev, Alex Pereira. All the Poetards' worst nightmares came true in this night, didn't they? They all came, and I took the biggest victory lap because it went down pretty much exactly how I said it was going to go down. Magomed Ankalaev and Alex Pereira were going to do a bit of striking for the first couple of rounds, and then Alex Pereira was going to dominate with the smushing towards the end. Magomed did a lot better than I thought he would in the striking. I didn't think he would win in the striking, but there you go. Ruffy killed Green. On this card, on the main card, Ruffy fucking spinning heel kicked the head off of Bobby Green and absolutely killed him. Great way to kick off the pay-per-view. Then we had Amanda Lemos versus Isman Lucindo, I think. I didn't watch it. I went and took a giant shit. Ignacio Bojabandes just ended Jarlin Turner's career. That was great to see. Gaethje and Fiziev put on a hell of a war, and I was sweating bullets for this one because I was convinced that Fiziev had won the first fight over Gaethje, and yeah, it's short notice, but it doesn't matter. We are going to get it done. We are going to be able to beat Justin Gaethje. We didn't. Gaethje solidified himself. He's still that top 5 fighter that just loves the collar tie and the uppercut and the big meaty hook over the top. That's just Justin Gaethje all day long, and he's good at it. And then Magomed Ankalaev took Alex Pereira to what I felt was a very competitive decision. I remember I scored that fight live, and I was like, there's an argument for Pereira. Some people are going to think that's crazy, but it was a close fight, dude. It was a very, very close fight. So you had a fun co-main event. You had a sick opener on the main card. You had women slowing it down a little bit, but Ignacio Bahamondes turned it on Jarlin Turner as well. This was a good card, man. Then you had an upset. We were all like, Team Guru. Shout out to Guru. Thanks for popping in the stream last night. Team Guru was rage baiting about Magomed Ankalaev winning. I made a video telling Guru like this is what was expected, Guru. This is why we're picking him. That video got like the most views I've ever gotten on my channel. It was a close fight. It was a scrappy fight. This was a good card, man. This was a good card. Is this better? This is a good card. Where is... Oh, here it is. Yeah, this was a good card. Really good card. I don't know if it was an S tier card, man, because again, we had some slop in the middle of it, but that was a solid card. A tier card halfway through the year. Right, moving on up into the holding position. I believe the next one is Alexander Volkanovski versus Diego Lopez. Let's look at the entire... You know this one's getting it, mate. You know, we're going to be glazing. We're glazing. Here we go. All right, Gene Silva versus Bryce Mitchell. I hated this part. We're no longer glazing. I'm angry again. I've just been reminded what happened on this card. I have a fucking Bryce Mitchell t-shirt that I custom made and tried to sell on my YouTube store. That got banned from my YouTube store because apparently my t-shirt shop hates bloody freedom, mate. That's neither here nor there. I was so on board with Bryce. And Gene Silver just embarrassed him, mate. But a hell of a build-up. Speaking of Guru, thanks for helping that build-up be so fun. Hell of a build-up to a card, though. Then Yair Rodriguez versus Pitbull. That was a stinker of a fight. It was, man. It was boring. It was boring, man. And then I've got such a sour taste left in my mouth because Yair has decided to just sit on that and think he's going to get a title after that. That was a stinker, man. You know, Pitbull's just not the guy he used to be. He just isn't, man. Paddy Pimblett beat the fuck out of Michael Chandler. That was awesome to see. He did beat the living piss out of Michael Chandler. And then Alexander Volkanovski did what he did, boys. We got the belt back at 36, 37 years old. However old we are now, Volk. The little wog from Australia. We got the belt back. You know, I want to give it an S tier, but it's not an S tier of a pay-per-view. It's not, although it's pretty good, dude, considering what we have gotten so far for the rest of the year. Might be the best pay-per-view of the year. Oh, Dominic, that's on the main card as well. Dominic Reyes destroyed Nikita Krylov. No female main event. No female fights on the main card. No female co-main event. No heavyweight slop. The most boring decision was Yair Rodriguez schooling Pitbull. We got a sick KO with Reyes. Reyes was back. The world was loving it. We had the fun build. Dude, we did it, Volk. Volk, we did it. We did it, mate. We had the best pay-per-view of the year so far. Oh, man, Australia. This is the peak of Australian MMA. This run right here is absolutely the peak of Australian MMA. Because then we move into Jack Della Maddalena versus Bilal Muhammad. Dude, the celebration after this. The channel went so hard. If you haven't seen my celebration video of Jack Della Maddalena, Jack El Giacomo Chatamo Della Maddalena beating the living piss out of Bilal Muhammad, go back on my channel and watch the first minute of the celebration video. Man, Australia was up and about, mate. I tell you what, we were up and about, but we were also back in Canada. And Canada, like Australia, means the UFC doesn't have to try, which is unfortunate for us fans. But that's neither here nor there. So we had Benoit Saint Denis, who, let's face it, he beat the living fuck out of Kyle Prepolek. Beat the living fuck out of him. Now, he should have, because Kyle Prepolek is literally just some bloke that trains down at a gym near the arena in Canada. That's how Kyle got back into the UFC for this one. So he did what he was meant to do. We had Natalia Silva versus Alexa Grasso. My chat absolutely loves Alexa Grasso's hooves. But Natalia Silva proved to be one of the most beautiful and endearing spirits in women's MMA. She has the soul of an angel and a fairy. Thank God. Thank God that I got to see her wonderful smile on that card. Ayman Zahabi and Jose Aldo snoozed things up. That was not enjoyable to watch. And then Valentina Shevchenko did her thing where she absolutely ruined the event. And Jack Della Maddalena brought life back into the event, again, by beating the piss out of Bilal Muhammad. Split his face open, broke his face. 4 rounds to 1. Jack Della Maddalena beat the piss out of Bilal Muhammad, and I loved it. But the card was dog shit. Probably worse than drink it. Like, the card overall, when you drink the entire card, like, when I talk you through that card, the Benoit Saint Denis, the Natalia Silva, Alexa Grasso, the Ayman Zahabi versus Jose. Was it? I think it was, from memory. I'm pretty sure it was. It's not bringing me any big flashing moments of that was sick. And I specifically remember hating Valentina Shevchenko after that fight. That was so boring. Yeah. No, that was a horrible card. Jack Della Maddalena, I love you, but the card you fought on was the F-tier card of the year. Really, really was, man. Really horrible. Right, moving on up to Sean O'Malley versus Merab Dvalishvili, UFC 316, boys. What do we have on the main card? Kevin Holland versus Vicente Luque. That was a sick fight. It was a sick little fight. Kevin Holland was back. We were all like 50-50. Kevin Holland just got beaten by DeHoodler, you know, the fiddler. Who is this guy? Who's the fiddler? But no, the fiddler turns out to be quite real. And Kevin Holland turns out to actually want to be a fighter again when he's in there fighting Vicente Luque, which was sick. Mario Batista showed the world that the UFC is just levels above everything else and beat the living piss out of the heavy bag Patchy Mix, who tried to come up with, I've been inactive for a year and a half, but it was a short notice fight. Like, you're an athlete. Stay ready to compete. Joe Pyfer and me began our legendary beef. Joe Pyfer just tried to I would say 1-2, but it wasn't. By the end of the fight, Joe Pyfer, I'm going full screen for this, baby. I'm going full screen for my boy, Joe Pyfer. By the end of the fight, Joe Pyfer is just holding out his lead and trying to connect with Calvin Gastelum's big taco-filled head. That's the whole third round. That's the entire third round. I loved it. And I gave Joe Pyfer so much during that build-up, and then he called me out on Ariel Helwani. Didn't use me by name, but described my video and said that it had 200 views. And that's this guy. 200 views per video. That's me, baby. I know who you're talking about, Joseph Pyfer. Kayla Harrison moved on to Juliana. Kayla Harrison, that's right. Kayla Harrison, Kimura, Juliana Pena. Second, Juliana Pena was a UFC fighter, I remember. And then why do I keep clicking on that? Why do I keep clicking on that? There we go. And then she came up with just the best excuses you've ever heard. Juliana Pena had 1,001 excuses. God, that was funny. The build-up to Kayla Harrison versus Pena was fucking hilarious. I loved it. And Merab Dvalishvili really put it on Sean O'Malley, and in entertaining fashion, might I add. Like, he did Merab in round 1, but in round 2, he outstruck Sean O'Malley, which is, like, what? When, Merab, did you learn to do this, mate? And then goes and gets the choke on O'Malley. So, like, this was a good card. This was a good card. Was it better than Volk versus Diego Lopez? Was it better than Volk versus Lopez? Dominic Reyes kills Nikita Krylov. Gene Silva knocks out Mitchell. Paddy Pimblett beats the fuck out of Chandler and no, not better. Not better than Alex Pereira, Alexander Volkanovski versus Diego Lopez. Not better. But better than Magomed Ankalaev versus Alex Pereira. Justin Gaethje versus Fiziev was a decision fight. It was a fun fight, but it was a decision fight. Amanda Lemos, you did ruin that. You did ruin that. And Ruffy did destroy Green. Dude, 316 was a good card, man. Even with the women's co-main, delivered. So did Patchy. You know what? It's going ahead. No, it's going ahead. It was a better card, dude. It was a better card. 316 was a good card. Really good card. Solid card. Yeah. And then finally, let's talk about it, right? The one that we just saw all together. International Fight Week. Dude, when you put international into the guys, it's the Super Bowl of MMA. The Super Bowl of MMA, I'm telling you. This is International Fight Week, right? Peyton Talbot on the main card, you know? Peyton Talbot on the main card. Beneil Dariush and Renato Moicano, old heads. You know, looking back on that fight in hindsight, when you think of their age, that's a real prelims headliner, isn't it? That's a main event of a prelims. That's the prelims headliner on a pay-per-view. Beneil Dariush and Renato Moicano. And that fight was not fun at all. But then Joshua Van and Brandon Royval gave us just cinema. Absolute fucking cinema. Alexandre Pantoja did really well against Kai Kara France. Oh, great edits from Alexandre Pantoja. And then Ilia Topuria just scared the living shit out of us. So, top heavy, but the top heaviness delivered. Joshua Van and Brandon Royval delivered. If you're going to have one of the fights of the year, now that might be the fight of the year. This is what I'm saying, right? Like, Joshua Van and Brandon Royval is the fight of the year. It's the fight of the year. It is. Merab and Umar is like the skill fight. Like, it's got the most set of skills in it. Whereas Joshua Van and Brandon Royval was just like, I'm going to try and hit you. You're going to try and hit me. We're going to box. on the Monster Energy can were not leaving the can. Whereas Umar and Marab was a little bit more intricate than that, obviously. Like, Joshua Van ended up finishing Brandon Royval by being like, I'm just going to stomp on your fucking leg. I've broken my toe, I can't kick, so I'm just going to stomp. That's the kind of caveman-esque breakdown we ended up there. As the fabric of skills descended away as the bones broke, it just turned into stomping, which is sick. It's fucking awesome, to be honest. Yes! So that makes it a damn good card, mate. Kai Kara France getting embarrassed. Love to see it. And Charles Oliveira murdered by Ilya Tipuria. Murdered. Absolutely murdered. Really good card, actually. Sorry for shitting on you at the start of my little preamble there. UFC 317. Really good card. Better than? Oh! Oh, no! It was good, man. It was really good. It was better than UFC 311. Oh. Man, Dominic Reyes being back was awesome. The Ruffy knockout was awesome. But Brandon Royval and Piotr, they just showed up and showed out. Oh, I need to see the list again. Hang on a second. I just need to see the fights again. Hang on. Alex Pereira versus Magomed Ankalaev. I'll be quick. I know. I might cut this part out if I was good. It's better than that one. It's better than 313. It is better than 313. It is. It just is. 316 was really good as well. Batista beat the shit out of Pachi Mix. Kyle Harris and Juliana Pena was funny. But Funny and Batista and Holland do not beat the fight of the year and Kai Kara France getting embarrassed and the knockout of the year. Do they? Do they? They don't. They don't. Marab was meant to beat O'Malley. And Ilya was meant to beat Oliveira, but the way that he did it was so shocking. So, like, Oliveira doesn't get chinned like that. And then you have the fight of the year as well. That's it. That's the tier list. That's the tier list. That is the pay-per-views this year ranked. Yeah. That's the pay-per-views this year ranked. If this is your first time here, g'day and welcome. My name is Dougie, and I make an MMA video every single day of the week, and I go live pretty much every day of the week as well. If you want to know when all that happens, hit that subscription button down there and the notification bell so you know when I go live, you know when a video drops. Let me know about it down there in the comments. What did I get wrong? I'm sure I got plenty wrong. Not as wrong as Lucas Tracy got his GOAT list or Kenny Okoye, but I'm sure I got plenty wrong as well. So let me know about it down there in the comments. If you like this video, leave a like. And if you're one of the paying members of the channel, or you've probably been gifted a membership at this point. If you've ever clicked on the channel, you've been gifted a membership. So I don't know what to do about the backslide, because I don't know. Anyway, there's some slides saying thank you to a particular set of people. That's next. I will see you guys in the next video, in the next live stream. Have yourselves a good one. Have a good day, boys. Bye.